For the members of the NBRPA, and we could not be more excited to celebrate the 75th anniversary team and what they represent to the game of basketball. It is only fitting that we are able to celebrate 4 of our founders on the 75th anniversary team: Dave Bing, Oscar Robertson, Dave Cowens, and Dave DeBusschere. In 1992, these men, led by the formidable Archie Clark, led us in the establishment of this association, which has culminated in all of us being here today. In our 30th year, the NBRPA membership spans the globe, representing the former player community as not just ambassadors of the game of basketball, but as beacons of service and goodwill. Our mission serves both the former player community and our community at large. It is our support for young learners through the Dave DeBusschere Scholarship Fund and the newly founded Legends HBCU Scholars Program that sets us apart as an association. Our success is a collective effort, and it is my pleasure to serve a dedicated, passionate board of directors. This weekend, we have welcomed newly elected directors Robert Ory, Chucky Brown, and Charles Choo Smith. They are joining our chairman, Johnny Davis, Sam Perkins, Cheryl Swoops, David Naves, Karan Butler, Jerome Williams, Grant Hill, Thurl Bailey, Dave Cowens, and Sean Marion. Thank you to my staff, a veteran group of 8 who have remained highly committed to our mission and maintained our high standards throughout challenging universal times. Thank you to the NBA and the NBPA for always supporting and believing in this organization and remaining steadfast partners in serving the former player community. The historic advances in pensions and healthcare for former players has established us as the gold standard in former player benefits. For this support, we are so very appreciative and look forward to continued growth in health and wellness for our players. There is much to celebrate this weekend, and on behalf of the National Basketball Retired Players Association, I thank you for joining us in honoring our legends. And with that, please welcome the Executive Director of the National Basketball Players Association, Tamika Tremaglio.
Thank you very much, Scott. I really appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. Wow. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be here with all of you. I just saw all of these amazing men who have done just such extraordinary things. Thank you for having me. I've been fortunate to meet some of you this weekend, and I hope to have the opportunity to meet many more over the next 24 hours. I'm humbled to be here with our legends that have really changed the game that we all love. Somehow we believe that we can see further than those who have come before us. But the truth is that we really stand on the shoulders of giants. These are really giants, so thank you. As individuals and collectively, you have transformed the game of basketball. Your skills, grit, and power on the court has actually made the game better. Your dedication to the game and commitment to being the best you can be sets you apart from all others. You work day in and day out, you made your teammates and competitors better, and you pushed the game to new heights. And on behalf of the current players, and as a fan of the game myself, thank you. What really inspires me, though, is how you have not only changed the game of basketball, but how you have changed the way society thinks about basketball players. Your contributions off the court have created a new standard for today's players. This new standard is one of kindness, one of entrepreneurship and business, and one of true innovation. You've made society look at basketball players as more than just incredible athletes, but as incredible people. You've paved the way for our players to be confident, advocating for their beliefs, sharing their insights, and actually taking a stand. It is clear that while you had incredible vision on the court, you also had incredible vision on what is possible off the court. And you have never wavered in your commitment to creating a more just and kind society. So as many of you know, I actually retired from Deloitte after 26 years on January 7th of this year, 2022. And I was the managing partner of our office in Deloitte, and I really pitched around the business of kindness and how important it was. And I will tell you, throughout the entire process, I quickly learned that our basketball players are extraordinary men and women, and that they are incredibly kind. I actually had the thought of trying to decide, what would I do if we changed the world and we changed the game of basketball? And at Deloitte, we focused on this business of kindness. And as a result, Lady Gaga asked me if I would serve on her board, which is Born This Way Foundation. And she said, we need to make sure that the little monsters, which are her fans, when they go into the corporate community, that they are kind. And I thought, of course, this is something that I'd want to do around mental health. We recognize that during this pandemic, people have suffered tremendously. And so I asked her, doing the due diligence, being part of Deloitte that we would always do, just tell me where you're located. And she said, we want to be where things are happening. And I said, well, what does that mean? She said, we're actually headquartered in San Francisco. And although I spend a majority of my time in New York, I thought it was really important that we are here. And so her executive director, Maya Smith, said to me, Tamika, when I spoke to this gentleman named Kevin, he told me that he had contemplated committing suicide. And what many of you know, that it's not the first or second time, but people actually think about it 3 or 4 times before they actually go through with it. And for Kevin, it was going to take him 3 buses to actually get to the Golden Gate Bridge. So since 1935, we've had over 2,000 suicides from the Golden Gate Bridge. And so Kevin got on the first bus and he said, if someone just smiles at me, I'm going to turn around and go back. And no one did. And then Kevin got on the second bus and he said, if someone just asks me how I'm doing, I'm going to turn around and go back. And no one did. And he said, I could give up on humankind, but he got on the third bus. He said, if they just acknowledge my presence, I would turn around and go back. And no one did. And he walks to the top of the bridge, and this woman taps him on his shoulder, and she gives him a cell phone and says, would you take a picture of me? And doesn't even acknowledge his existence. And he jumps from the bridge. True story. And Kevin doesn't die. And he tells this story, and he says it's critically important to recognize that we can change the trajectory of someone's life just by a simple act of kindness. So it's critically important that we do that, and our basketball players have shown you that they do that. They care for one another, they care for their communities, and they've done these things in their communities. So not that you have to stop someone from committing suicide, it could be the simple acts of kindness. I will tell you, last night my husband was mistaken for an Uber driver, and Bernie Kosar jumps in the back of his car and he said, it's freezing and I need a ride and I need you to take me. And even after he clearly said he was an Uber driver, he said, but I'm going to take you to wherever you go. And he couldn't even relate to someone being that kind. So it is just those simple acts that can change the world. So I encourage you, when you're out, to make sure that you're doing that as well. So you know that you have continuously chosen to redirect the spotlight that was so often on each and every one of you. Instead of pointing to other things, you focused on critical issues that are bigger than any one of us. You've shown that athletes should be talking about social equity and that athletes can affect real change. And despite any criticism, you've stood strong, you've stayed resilient, and you have kept going. With your hard work, you've created an environment in which players' voices can actually be heard. You've given time and love to the causes that you value. You made a mark on society that can be felt through community impact and social change. As dedicated as you are to the game of basketball, you're equally dedicated to your families, your communities, and to our society. Thank you for building the foundation for which we are currently standing upon. You have been a role model on how to use the platform and exposure you are afforded with in your given position and to affect change in overwhelmingly positive ways. And it's beautiful to witness. You uphold the legacies and the union's values of equality, respect, and inclusion. And you encourage others to reflect on injustice and actually take action. And while this is certainly still that we have a lot of work to do, I look forward to continuing this legacy and going on this journey with you. So thank you very much for your leadership and your service.